My guest today drove into Los Angeles, a single mother with a 3-month-old, a broken down Volkswagen, no degree, and rent money she raised by selling her own jewelry. Her baby slept under her desk while she learned the business. She went on to sell billions in luxury real estate. We're going to talk about exactly how she did it, step by step. Stay tuned. This episode of Keeping It Real is brought to you by Real Geeks. How many homes are you going to sell this year? Do you have the right tools? Is your website turning soft leads into interested buyers? Are you spending money on leads that aren't converting? Well, Real Geeks is your solution. Find out why agents across the country choose Real Geeks as their technology partner. Real Geeks was created by an agent for agents. They pride themselves on delivering a sales and marketing solution so that you can easily generate more business. Their agent websites are fast and built for lead conversion with a smooth search experience for your visitors. Real Geeks also includes an easy-to-use agent CRM. So once a lead signs up on your website, you can track their interest and have great follow-up conversations. Real Geeks is loaded with a ton of marketing tools to nurture your leads and increase brand awareness. Visit realgeeks.com/keepingitrealpod and find out why realtors come to Real Geeks to generate more business. Again, visit realgeeks.com/keepingitrealpod. And now, onto our show. Today's episode is brought to you by Corded.io. Are you looking for agents to join your brokerage or team? Now, as a real estate recruiter, I can tell you the answer is always yes. But most agents aren't looking to move right now. So how do you know who to contact? Well, what if I were to tell you there's a recruiting and retention tool powered by artificial intelligence that shows you exactly which agents in your local market are looking to leave their brokerage right now and which agents at your own firm are also looking to leave you? Now, I've been recruiting realtors for 15 years and I've hired over 2,000 agents. I can tell you with no exaggeration, this is the tool I've been waiting for. Corded's AI looks for trends across dozens of variables for each agent in your market and shows you which agents they believe are likely to move. Not only does it do that, but Corded's AI went and visited my recruiting website and read everything I offer. So now when I'm recruiting, Corded's AI tells me exactly what to say based on that agent's needs and what my brokerage can offer. It even writes emails for me. I've never seen anything like it, and I use it every single day. Now, if you are looking to grow your brokerage, Corded.io is the best tool out there. Visit Corded.io to schedule a demo. Again, that's Corded.io. And now, onto the show. Welcome to Keeping It Real. I am your host, DJ Paris. We are the largest podcast made for real estate agents. And for real estate agents, I'm your guide and host through the show. And today I am super excited to bring on a guest who really is quite a renaissance woman of sorts. She just has done a lot of super cool things and she's done it all herself, which obviously she's had help, but she's been the driver of her own success. And I'm just so honored to be able to talk to her and so impressed. But her name is Valerie Fitzgerald, and she is a luxury real estate agent, entrepreneur, author, television personality, and founder of the Valerie Fitzgerald Group, Coldwell Banker, one of LA's most recognized luxury real estate brands, with decades of experience representing premier properties across Beverly Hills, Bel Air, Brentwood, Malibu, and the West Side. These are some of the most exclusive neighborhoods in the country. She has been ranked among Coldwell Banker's top 10 agents nationwide. They only have 100,000 agents. So pretty big deal, and recognized by the Los Angeles Business Journal for her exceptional sales achievements. She is known for representing some of Los Angeles' most prestigious properties and also the author of Heart and Sold. She is host of 2 podcasts. One is about to drop, which is really exciting, called Queen Bee, Grit, Grace, and Reinvention. It's really women entrepreneurship and women reinventing themselves in the business world. When that does drop, we will let you know. She also has another podcast called Real Estate, Real Laughs, and she's been on TV. She was on HGTV on Selling LA for 3 seasons. She's done a TED Talk, and the link to her book, Heart and Sold, for Amazon will be in our description. Please follow her on Instagram, Valerie Fitzgerald. We'll have a link to that in the show notes. Valerie, welcome.
Well, thank you. That was quite an introduction. I'm like, "Who is she?"
I know. I so rarely get to be on people's podcasts, and I don't have anywhere near the vitae that you have. But even when people do read my stuff, I'm like, oh, look at all the stuff I did. I didn't even realize. But you have really done a lot, and I'm really grateful to have you. And we've had a lot of agents from the LA area on the show over the years, and I'm always so fascinated by the luxury world and how you've broken into that world. But before we even get into sort of that, I want to talk about sort of the struggle a bit, because this is truly an incredible story. So you drove to LA with a 3-month old, I believe, no degree, and money from selling your own jewelry. So most
Right,
people,
yeah.
yeah, most people in that spot they're just trying to survive the week. But what made you decide that real estate was going to be the path? And what was the very first thing you did to get a deal? So I'm curious if you remember that stuff.
Yeah, sure. So when I first came, we came from New York, and I had my daughter, and I was going to be a single mother with her. And when I brought her, I had this little broken down Volkswagen that was my car. And I figured you always had to figure out how to leverage yourself. I mean, you need help or you need to find out what you're going to do. So I came to LA to work for a cosmetic company. That position fell apart 2 months after I was here. And then I had no money. So I just
No.
sell the jewelry and things that I had in order to have some cash. And a friend of mine came over and said, "Well, why don't you go into real estate?" And I said, "Well, I don't have any contacts, any business. I
Yeah, I'm not
don't
from here.
yeah, I'm not yeah, I don't know the areas. How would I do that?" He said, "You'll just do it." And I said, "Okay." So I heard a neighbor next door who had a baby crying. I looked out the window. I said, "Hello, hello," and we ended up being friends. We did what I called sharing hours. So she would take care of my daughter because she had a daughter about the same age, so that I could go to school at night, and I would take care of her daughter, so she had some freedom during the day on weekends. So we kind of got this groove of sharing hours so that I could get some help and leverage. And then a friend of mine who had a real estate company in Beverly Hills, he said, "I'll give you a desk." And I said, "Okay." I didn't know what to do. We didn't have cell phones or a computer at the time. And so I said, "Okay." So I took my baby with me, and she slept under my desk while I was trying to learn, different areas. We had one shared sort of computer with maps on it. It was all about maps in those days and trying to learn where the areas were and all that. And then I just get in my car and go look at houses when we had those caravan days that brokers are familiar with. And I took my daughter. So my daughter kind of everybody knew her at the time because she's always with me. I go, I My first open house opportunity I got was a $5 million open house, and I begged the guy to let me sit on it and not give me the listing, but let me sit on it. So I
Sure.
did. I went and I took my baby with me and met some people and just started gathering up some people and names and communicating, trying to create relationships. And people could see how hard I was trying. And I go on listing appointments. I took her, I had the bottles in my pocket and walk in, with my diaper bag and her and the whole thing. It was, yeah, a lot of stories.
I always think like nothing is more impressive than a working mother. Even when you probably ideally wouldn't want to bring your baby to a walkthrough or whatever, or showing, because maybe there'd be an issue. But I love that when people do that. It really, I think, endears the agent to the client, because they're like, look at how hard this woman is working to create a future for herself and her child. I love that. And so begging for the open house, I love that too. We tell agents to do that constantly. That is a constant refrain. I've been doing the show 8 years, hundreds and hundreds of top producers. They all did some version of that. And I love that. Hey, may I please sit in open house, and then everything can kind of go from there. So I love that. I also know that you are a really big proponent of something that I try to live as well, although it's very difficult, but is be afraid and do it anyway. Because, and we haven't really talked about this, but everything's scary, right? Like everything that's worthwhile is definitely scary. So
Yeah.
the fear is just going to show up anyway. But this idea that like I can coexist with fear, that's fine. Like I can still do the thing and be afraid. Um, I love that you said that because I think that's such an important thing that gets glossed over these days. We just think about the fear and then it really shuts us down. But I want to hear the system. So when the fear was loudest for you, look, not only are you not from the area, you're not from the state, you're from the other side of the country where, maybe you had a few friends that moved that did that kind of move. I don't know, but it sounded like not. How, when the fear was loudest, like, how could I actually do this? How did you get yourself to physically do the things that you needed to do to build your business?
The interesting thing is that I learned from a man who now has passed away, was a coach, and he had a company up in Seattle, and he I went to see one of his seminars, and he talked about blind faith, because we live every day in blind faith. We do it every day, even
Sure.
today, all the time. So in order to build my business and be a mom, I didn't know how to be a mom, and I didn't know how to build a business, and I didn't know how to do write a book. When Simon and Schuster said, "Would you be interested in writing a book?" I said yes. I was go, okay, I'll do that. And or a podcast. I'm not a podcast. I did my TED talk. That was probably the scariest thing I've ever done, was the
Sure.
TED talk. Yeah, because but blind faith, just kind of, you just go with it, and I was afraid every time. Didn't know, I didn't have a blueprint or how I was going to do any of this. But you just do it. You say, okay, you take on that next challenge. And it's actually kind of uplifting. Once you dig in and you believe in yourself, and you hold that true, that you are capable and you can do it, you start to figure it out.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. In dialectical behavior therapy, DBT, it's very popular right now because it's all skill focused. And one of the things that they will suggest when somebody is in distress, when they're really feeling like captured by fear, is to imagine what a different person who would be able to totally handle that particular fear. For example, let's say it was a play and somebody was cast in the role of the person who would absolutely not be shut down by that fear. And if the way our brains work, if we can get ourselves into the mode of, oh, I'm going to try my best to emulate what that person would be like, a lot of times, that is all we need to be able to take that first step and that second step and then just kind of keep going and to just imagine, it certainly, we don't want to fake anything. And, like, I don't like the fake it till you make it because it suggests there's like no competence there, but the fear is certainly there, even if there's competence when you're first trying something. So I love that you said that.
But I
And
believe that everybody has a little fear.
yeah, of
I
course.
think I mean, I don't think there's anyone that goes, "Right, yeah, I've got it all handled, and sure, I can do this and that." I don't believe that. I believe that everybody has a little fear behind everything, in their day. You go to the doctor and you're gonna go, "Okay, am I gonna be
There's a moment
okay?" I mean,
every
yeah, I
time I
mean,
go to get my physical, even though I'm like, I think it's going to be okay, but I have a moment
yeah.
where I'm like, what are they going to find? Yeah.
Yeah. So I just think blind faith and a little fear is okay. And all both of these things really have driven me and help guide every meaningful decision I've ever made.
Well, then the thing too is you realize fear, while it's difficult, is really kind of your companion. Like, it's
Yeah.
not a bad thing to be afraid. It's
No,
what keeps us
it's not.
safe. It's a really good instinct. And we're not being chased by saber-toothed tigers anymore. So our fear kind of works in ways in which it interprets threats that, if we're being mindful, we can say, oh, that's my fear creeping in, and that I acknowledge you, I got you, but hey, I can do this too. And I'm such a believer in what you just said. And we should reference your mom right now, only because in the reinvention part, your mom is she's 90 or was it 90?
93.
93. She has written and is producing her own play, first time playwright,
Yeah.
at the senior living center where she is. She has cast all of the people at the senior living center are going to be playing the roles. She's doing that for the first time at 90. Like, I can't imagine, thinking that you could even pull that off. And she's doing it. That's
Just
amazing.
doing it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Why
She's
not?
a hoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, why the whole thing is, why not? So I think if you have a little doubt, you have to have some courage. And
Yeah.
having courage isn't the absence of fear.
No.
It's not. But if you have some courage, you have a little fear. I mean, all these things sound negative to a lot of people, but to me, I think there's a motivator. If you have a little courage, a little fear, a little excitement, I think you can do a lot more than you realize you can.
Agreed. And I like to think if there was only one quality I could have that would serve me better than any other quality, I think it's courage. I think that's the one to develop, and that's the one to, and that blind faith, it comes from, that's, you have to just assume that whatever ends up happening, it won't be so bad I can't handle it.
Right,
And it might actually just work out too, which is great. So you've reinvented yourself multiple times,
right.
model, single mom, agent, team builder, author, TED Talk presenter, TV, now a second podcast. So, is there a pattern to how you reinvent, or rather, if you had to sort of name the steps? So, these are all things you've done, but never had done them before. So, how does it work for you? You're like, so if Simon and Schuster reaches out, hey, we want to write a book. Yes, Simon and Schuster, one of the great publishing firms of all time. But I'm not a writer. So, how do you get yourself to be able to do those things, even though you haven't done them before?
I just say, "Okay." You know what's interesting? Absolutely, when they said, would be interested in writing a book?" I said, "Sure."
Yeah.
You know, and if they said, "Would you be interested in doing a TED Talk?" I said, "Sure." I mean, what had I ever done anything like that remotely before? No. As a matter of fact, one of the biggest markings in my local career here is that I became the head of sales and marketing for a number of high-rise luxury new developments here that nobody else had ever done before. And I did it by when I read in the news, I heard that a developer was going to buy a building in Century City and tear it down and put condos. I looked up who they were. I called them up, and they're in New York. And I said, "Hey, I'm going to be in New York next week," which I wasn't. "I'm going to be in New York next week. I'd like to stop by and talk to you about this development. I'm a high end broker here in Los Angeles." And they said, "Great." They booked me the appointment, and I got on a plane and went like I was already going to be there, just stopping in.
Yeah.
And I did that two or three times, and I just made it up. And I went and talked to them, and I ended up handling three major high rise luxury developments here in Los Angeles. And now I have my on another one. But you just step into it. And first of all, I get excited. I like the change. I it's not stressful to me. It excites me. All the changes we're doing now in our business, we've never done before, the AI stuff, and we're just making it up as we go. And each time it's a new challenge, and I get really excited about these things.
I like it as well, and it's fun to try something new. It's also a little scary, and it might just work out. And I can't imagine too many other LA agents thought, I should probably go to New York. I should probably try to get in front of these people. I mean, maybe some did. I suspect you were the only one. Not that,
I was the only one, yeah.
yeah, yeah, brilliant. I
Yeah.
mean, that is, why not? I love it.
Why not?
Um, and
And it
and
worked out.
even if they had said, "Hey, you know what? We already have somebody, and we have a relationship. We can't." They would have been so impressed that you did that, that something could have come in a different way. Oh, hey, there's another development firm that you should talk to, or there would have been something else that probably happened. And even if that didn't happen, you would have been like, I just did something very cool, even though it didn't like work out the way I wanted it to. And that in and of itself is like really fun, because
And
sometimes things don't work out. Yeah,
what happened from that is that spread that I became one of the experts in sales and marketing for luxury high-rise developments, and
there you
therefore
go.
I got 2 more other big projects. So cut to 15 years later, I get a call last week from this major developer who I haven't worked for in 15 years, who said, "Hey, we're in Palm Beach and we're struggling a little bit, and we're seeing a lot of California buyers here. We need you to come to Palm Beach and let's talk, let's chat." And I said, I'll be there the week of August, and I gave him a week I'd be there because I wasn't, but I will be, and then I'll just go and see what that's about. But I think you've gotta be open to it. You can't be fearful. You can't let anything stop you. You've got if you're interested. I mean, I'm interested. I'm interested. I like interesting people. I like interesting things. I like interesting challenges. I love the challenge. So, yeah, I'm gonna go.
Well, I also love the fact that you started this business with essentially nothing, which is
Right.
so impressive. And I always It's funny. It's like almost the gift that I know that there's probably, I think there's a book called this, The Gift of Desperation, which is funny, sort of a ironic thing to say, but it really does. People are so resilient. And when left with kind of no other alternative, they figure things out. And you did and continue to. And now you're just like, oh, I have all these experiences where I just did something that I never had done before and it worked out. And I'm sure you have stuff that didn't work out too,
Yeah.
but you're like, I know sometimes it does hit, so I might as well just try everything. And like your mom, I'm just going to write a play and see what happens. And I love it. So I've interviewed, but I also know that there comes time when you're first starting, when you probably wanted to quit. And I'm not that you probably could because you didn't really have anything else to go back on. But how, tell me about the moment that you almost quit. I'm assuming that there was a moment for you.
I'm gonna surprise you. I never for 1 second ever thought about quitting anything. I mean, I've quit relationships. I've quit people.
Sure. But as
But
far as you're like, "Hey, I'll figure out a way. There's no I'm not gonna
yeah.
quit because this is what I'm going to do." So that's not
Yeah,
even an option for you. It's just, we'll just gonna keep trying different things until it works.
right.
And
Absolutely, and build on that and you learn so much along the way. You learn so much along the way that and that for me, it's just I don't know, growth doesn't happen when you're inside your comfort zone.
right.
Growth happens when you step out. I'm always out of the box, always. I'm like, "Oh, there she goes," I'm always out of the box. Think of we're doing so many new things right now in my business we're so excited about that then I know nobody's doing them around here. I know that, which even excites me more. So
Yeah,
in 5 years, I'll be going, "See ya," but
I love it. Building a luxury business from outside of the club is really tough. You didn't have the warm network in Beverly Hills.
Right.
And how did you get your first affluent clients to sort of take you seriously? Because before you had this amazing track record.
I think when you show up in the part, then people will take you seriously. I don't think it's what you wear. I don't think it's what you say. I think when you show up and you are standing in those shoes that that as a leader, then they will follow you. They will listen to you. They will ask you questions. And I think you have to learn how to you have to also know that relationships are very important. That's the basis of what we do in real estate. Yeah, we sell houses, but really the basic of what we do is we change people's lives. I mean, they could have financial issues, divorce issues, loss, financial wins, all different things that we sort through, but they're all relationship based. And we're sometimes psychologists, as you know, advisors, lawyers, we're wrapped up into so many different things, and there's no lessons for those things. I think when
Right.
you stand up in the space and people trust you, they'll listen to you, and you ask questions and they ask questions. And I think it's something that just kind of authentically, organically happens.
A lot of agents believe that playing it safe in a down market is kind of the way to go. Like maybe I'm going to cut spending or go quiet or just wait out the market. But you have said playing it safe means playing small. And
Yeah.
what did you do in your scariest market that like everyone told you not to do or that other agents weren't doing?
Well, when I first started out, the interesting thing was there were a lot of these older ladies that were tough, like tough as nails. And I'd walk into like the room or pass through the room where they were, and they'd all be grumbling, because they all played like they called them what they call them farms. It was about farming. You stayed in your little farm, and I came into the market and I worked 13 markets. I still do. Nobody did that at the time, and so they were, you can't come to my farm. You can't come in my farm, and I always go, why not? I mean, who says why not? There's no rule. I mean, so I wasn't a favorite in the beginning because I was just doing it all, doing it everything, and I mean, later it had its results, and it also had its complications because I remember when I first hired an assistant. I'm like, I don't know how to hire an assistant, so I made a list of everything I didn't want to do, and
Right.
I met this girl, and I said, "Here's your job description," because
Yeah.
I didn't know what else. That was my job description, and then I remember that I needed the money, some little money I was making here and there from my jewelry and all that I had to use for my business, so I didn't pay my taxes, and of course, that had a result a couple of years down the road too. I mean, I had to skirt some things and try new
Sure.
things and always moving and spinning and doing that, but I always had to believe in myself even though the outcome wasn't guaranteed, and the
Yeah.
outcome is never really guaranteed.
No.
I mean,
Well,
I've spent $50,000 on a particular listing here and there over the years, which I don't do anymore, and lose the listing because they took it away. I
yep.
mean, so you get a spanking every now and then and you relearn, what are you doing with your money and what are you doing and how you approach things and you become a little more you fine tune things, if you will, as you go along.
Yeah. And yes, I've talked to a lot of luxury agents who put a lot of money into listings, and they all have a story or two or three uh,
Yeah.
where the listing gets pulled, and they're like, "Yeah, that's a tough day," but but you keep going, and
Yeah.
it's things happen. And so the business you started in, it's almost unrecognizable now because now things are different. We have buyer agreements, commission conversations,
Right.
AI is now part of like every listing, I guess. But if you were rebuilding from zero today in 2026, what would you do differently, or would you do everything kind of the same when you started?
I think, well, because me, I love change and I love my team is all young. I love new ideas and I love things that are way out of the box. And so I would start to think of how if I were brand new and didn't have any, well, I do. I have brand new agents that don't have any business that come and work with me. And so we talk about how do you get the leads and from the open houses and who's real and who's not and how to save time because you can waste a lot of time with people that aren't real, whether they're buyers or sellers, they just want you to show them houses. And so there's a lot to learn. I always say it takes 2, 3, 4 years before you really can get your mojo, get into a rhythm. You might get lucky here and there with a sale or two, but it takes some time to learn all the structure and the things of really building a business. And would I do anything different with this thing? So many things are at our fingertips now that weren't available to me when I was started. And I would just start looking at where, like, okay, so it's Generation Z and X and Y and all those things. So and they're going to be spenders, and there's the biggest wealth coming from the baby boomers into those generations. And how are you going to reach them? You're not going to reach them all on social media. You're not going to reach them all,
Not the
in
baby boomers, yeah, for sure.
yeah, definitely not, and those mailers, I used to do the mailers every month for 5,000 a month for 25,000 mailers for a long time, and I used to get a big return, now I get 0. So, you've gotta start looking at what is the biggest source to touch the most people. We touch probably 2 or 300,000 people a week with all the stuff that we do. So, we just keep it all going, and the content's really, really important to me. I'm very involved in my content because it's gotta be relevant. It's gotta be relevant, and I've seen on our Instagram, for instance, now it's mostly men on my Instagram. I have 43 or 44,000 people. I've seen it change because the content's become more important to them. So and, looking at a condo or a house and look at me, how great I am, isn't really anything that they can relate to or react to. So
I
I've
I
changed a lot.
I just did a video. I do daily short reels because it's funny. So I have this walk from where I park my car to where my office is. It's like 3/10 of a mile. And I thought I should do something with that time as opposed to just listening to a music or podcast.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, I could film like a little walk and talk and maybe give it advice to an agent because I talk to amazing people like you all the time and I just have all this information that they've shared with me. And so I could probably do 10 episodes on the things or 10 of these walk and talks on just the things you've mentioned today. But so I started doing this. I just did one last week, which I'll send to you, and maybe I'll share it with our audience. Which is nobody cares about your just listed and just sold videos. Like,
Right.
and I don't. And look, I don't really mean that. I mean it's nice, and it's you should be proud of your achievements. But I said like I was just being silly. I went to the dentist today, but I was saying like if my dentist went on Instagram was like just cleaned another mouth, I would be like, why are you posting on Instagram? Like, tell me how to prevent cavities or something.
Right.
And that's
There
what
you
you're
go.
talking
That's my
about is
point. Yeah.
yep, that is your point is how are you actually serving? I mean, look, yes, maybe it works to talk about just listed and just sold. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying maybe there's a higher value you can give to your audience. You know this and you're doing
Yeah.
this now. And I love that.
I've seen it change, and I think it's really important to look at your stats, to look at the reaction, who's looking, who's watching. I get a report every month on everything, so I can see what our open rates are. We have a 52,000 newsletter list, and we have about a 30% open rate.
That's
So
impressive.
it's really good. It's really good, and our content's really good, and so I've really changed now our social and all those things, and those things don't cost money.
Right.
So if you're starting today, when I started, you had to spend money, but
Oh yeah.
starting today, you don't have to spend so much money. There's a lot of things you can do to get up in the AI world. I mean, look at there's a lot of free AI stuff. So you've just got to have the brain to think about it. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want to happen? What's I talk in my TED talk about purpose. You
Yeah.
have to have purpose. And my purpose for me was building when I had that baby girl in my arms and I said, I'm going to build a great life for you. I will not fail you. I kept that promise. She
Yeah.
was my purpose. She was my purpose that for many, many years to keep going, keep building, keep creating, and keep, so I to give her the best possible life and education. And it all happened.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was all earned.
Yeah.
None
Yeah.
of it was just delivered to you. And
Nothing. Yeah.
yeah, and isn't that the I always say like the worst I don't play the lottery and I'm not here to judge anyone who does, but if I did, let's just say I were to win, which I'm sure I would never win the lottery anyway, but let's just say I did. It would probably be the worst day of my life because I didn't earn that money. And I suspect that it would not be good for me to get like $100 million all at once without earning it. I suspect that that would be a very, very bad thing for me. So you're right. Earning things is the only way that I have found to actually have true fulfillment. But your point of you have to have purpose to be able to do the hard things to then get to the fulfillment, right? So
Right.
I love that is know your why, right? Everybody says know your why. And that's what gets you through the hard times as well. So many agents who are listening to this are like, I want to sell $30 million properties because that sounds awesome. And I've seen that on TV and on Instagram. And obviously, there's pros and cons to doing any type of real estate business. What is it that many agents get wrong about the luxury world? Just out of curiosity.
Well, now, it's really interesting because it's very divided. When I have a 30 when I have agents come see like a $33 million home recently, a lot of them come and uh, they're Instagrammers. So they're coming, it's all
Oh,
about them. It's all about them at his expensive house, and look at me walking through here and
oh,
all
gotcha.
that.
Yeah.
So I think my point of view is the opposite. It's all about the property, it's all about because every property has a story.
Yeah.
So there's a story to it. The story should be told. The story's gonna resonate with the buyer who's gonna want it. So how do they see themselves living in it? Not how great it is and, all that stuff. So I think there's a disconnect on the high end right now between I don't know how a lot of those agents are gonna get those big properties because they don't know how to serve it right. They don't know how to serve the audience, the buyer, and let alone, being in a conversation with a seller. So, I don't know, I see everything as a story when I'm out there, when I'm looking at my properties and how am I gonna present it that way.
And also too, with some of these really high net worth individuals or the properties in the sizes that you were mentioning, a lot of times these are people who have teams of people that are working with them. It's not maybe even just the buyer or the seller, it's the accountant or the lawyer or the
Yeah,
manager or the agent or you have to serve a lot of masters, I imagine, in
yeah.
some of these and that's a skill in and of itself to be able to win over each one of the people in the line. That's got to be a challenge.
And then I mean, I can't say their names, but some major people that I'm direct with, and they'll say, "Well, what do you think I should do?"
Yeah.
And I tell them exactly what I think they should do, and they go, "Do it." And that's what's really amazing. I mean, this has happened to me, I don't know, maybe 10 or 20 times in my career where somebody super, super at the top of their game
That there
said,
should be a whole group of people that has to meet in a
and they,
boardroom to figure this out, and they just go,
yeah,
you make the call."
yeah. What do you think I should do? Well, how do you feel about that counter?
Yeah,
How do you feel about the price? What do you think we should pay? These things, and you don't have much time to hesitate. You have to really
yeah.
stand your ground and give an opinion. So, and I actually like that.
Well,
I
it's gotta
actually
be the
like
most
it.
flattering moment of anybody. That would be the most flattering moment of my life, to have somebody who has achieved they're smart, they know what they're doing, they know how to spot bullshit, and they're asking you and not their advisors, "What do you think?" I mean, that's as
It's a big
flattering as it
responsibility too, because
yeah.
if you do something wrong, they're finished with you. You
Right.
know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. It's amazing. I'm so impressed, and I think I sort of get a sense from you that each day not only is you talked about blind faith, like we don't even get tomorrow, guaranteed to us. Some people won't get tomorrow, and the opportunities are so endless because you're
Mhm.
willing to do whatever maybe comes your way or whatever you decide to do, and there's a freedom in that, and
Yeah.
because you've done it over and over and over again, like you'd never given a TED talk before you gave a TED talk, right? And that's
Right.
a pretty stressful thing, as you mentioned. So it must be really exciting to think, what can I think up next, or what might come my way next? I imagine that's a really primary driver for you. Not that you don't have your home base of I'm a realtor and I have a team, and of course that's the day to day. But these other things that you found yourself doing, you probably just never think, oh, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, there's I mean, I'm gonna give away all my secrets, but there's a couple things which I've learned. So we're redoing my website, and I've written about 200 articles by prompting ChatGPT with subjects I want to talk about,
Sure.
or people have asked me questions of, and all that. So I put all these articles together. So we're redoing in my entire website so that the ChatGPT platforms will crawl it and pick up a lot of the information, so that I will come up on an organic basis on the
Smart.
automatic searches. So that's in the works right now, which nobody else is doing. And then I have this company which I'm really excited about, super excited about, that we I saw they gave me all the across 5 different AI platforms, all the top 50, I would say 20 real estate companies, brokers, and brokerages, and how they control the AI questions coming into them,
Sure.
and they showed me like 30 or 40 different questions. So now their challenge is to get me at the top of that list,
Yeah.
so that all those people will come to me. So that's these 2 things are we're really excited about. They have never been done before.
Yeah. I'm doing a
So
version of this too. So I recruit agents for our firm. And I asked AI, I'd like to show up more in search results with Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT. And I said, what are agents searching for? It's like, might as well just ask AI. And it gave me a list of things. I said, take a look at my recruiting website, which, at the time was like, this is why we're so amazing. And it said, you're making it all about you, number one, and it's
right,
not about you. That nobody cares who your
right,
company and your story, and like nobody cares, like they just care about you solving their problems as an agent. And I said, okay, that makes perfect sense, so I need to do that. And then it said, you should compare yourself to every other brokerage and have a page, not one that would be really super easy to navigate to, but one that AI could see, because people will go into AI and say, well, what about Compass versus Century 21 or whatever?
right,
And people will do those searches. So I made a thing about our company's called Kale, like Kale versus, and not who's better, but like, this is what we
right,
offer, this is what they offer, and just throw it all out there because there's no secrets anyway. And that has been really helpful. So I'm glad that you're doing that.
yeah.
You could even possibly do that with competitors. You could say, here's what we offer, here's what my competitor offers. I AI love stuff like that, but that's really
Oh,
exciting.
yeah.
I'm really
Yeah,
excited for
but
you.
my intention is like I'm right now I'm focused on sellers that we're completing that platform, and then I'll move into buyers, which will be another month from now, and then I'll move into recruiting, which will be another month from now after that. So I want to be at the top 30 or 60 questions anybody types into their computer looking to list their house. So
Yep.
what are those prompts? And I want to be at the top of all those. So that's
Yeah.
sort of the focus of what we're doing, and it's never been done. And all these big companies, can I really get ahead of Compass? I mean, we'll
Sh-
see.
Well, because people don't typically search for brands, or I mean, they may search for a brand, but they want to search for the individual of
Yeah,
those brands. And really, nobody cares where anybody works, right? They just
right.
ultimately want like who's the best agent in the area. And you are doing great things. You're going on podcasts. You're getting what they call citation density, which is
Right.
for AI to sort of pick up to say, hey, this Valerie person must know what she's got a TED talk, she's got podcast, she's
Yeah,
got a book. I mean, you
it
are
builds
really well
authority.
positioned. Yes,
It builds authority.
yes, and it's all earned and it's all legitimate.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you should have no problem being in you're probably already on a lot of those searches. But yeah, that's really exciting. So one last question. So let's speaking of AI, since it's here now. Oh, two questions. Do you and I always like to ask this: is AI gonna replace the realtor? What do you think?
No. No.
Why
It's
not?
still a human. No,
Yeah,
it's still a face to face, still human. AI cannot give you, it's an algorithm. It can't give you, it can't give you the history or the opinion from experience.
right,
It's crawling what's in the public, domain right now. That's where all the answers come from.
right.
I know some people have personal relationships with their AI, like
It's very
boyfriend,
sad.
girlfriend, like at night, hi, darling. I don't know, but
Oh,
those lonely heart conversations that they have. But I'm talking about from a business point of view. No, it will definitely not. It's not going to show a house. Who's going to show the house? And who's going to negotiate the contract? And who's going to give the seller real feedback? So I don't think so.
and who's going to guide the seller or the buyer through the emotional highs and
Yeah.
lows, and whenever I mean, I suspect luxury properties are no exception, maybe even more prone to this. There's probably something that always happens that threatens to blow up the deal at some point. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's always like, oh, this isn't going to happen, and then you have to deal with that and keep everyone calm and resolve it. And so yeah, oh,
A
I
good
love what
example is honestly is Zillow. Zillow's an algorithm on those estimates, and they only go by everybody goes, "Oh, price per square foot. It's only price per square foot." And it's not. I don't use price per square foot at all because that's not the appropriate way to price a property. Because when you do that, it's only the building, but it
right.
could be remodeled, it could be new, it could be better location, it could have a view, it could have a better floor plan, it could have, all these things that the algorithm in this estimate won't won't calculate, won't have. So there's a human quality that's missing there.
Yeah, I've worked a lot with Zillow over the years, and they would say, our Zestimate was and is a version of AI. It's our best guess, and they say we don't pretend that it's perfect, but they say for the agents out there that are upset with us for this, they're like, they should be thrilled with us that we're not perfect because it gives them the opportunity to be like, oh, this is wrong. This is not, I have experience in this area. I can tell you this is like, just a crunch of numbers. I can tell you what I think it's actually worth based on all the transactions I've done. And Zillow can't solve for that.
Yeah,
And neither can Claude. And I mean,
right.
maybe one day we'll figure out how to solve for experience, but hopefully not. Then maybe we're all in trouble. We'll all become like painters or plumbers or something. But until then, yeah, we need experience, and that's what realtors shine, and relationships as well, and just meeting the needs of the client. So, it well, my last question. So we're living in 2026. I'm going to set the stage, and imagine that you're a brand new agent because you've been this before, where you had no contacts, no reputation, new city. So you've actually done this, but let's imagine you were doing it today. What would you do in the first 90 days? What would be your move or your moves?
Well, first of all, you have to have someone to talk to. First of all, I would meet the local agent. I mean, I would be in an office and I'd try and get myself on a really good open house. I mean, like in a good neighborhood, good price point, and then I'd learn everything around the market that I possibly could. If they gave me the opportunity, I'd get on the phone and because you can get the phone numbers of everybody who's around the area, you can call them or email them and tell them you're hosting this open house. You start to build your name, your reputation, a little something to start to give you a little build. Then you need to collect those, you need emails, you start to build a database. You have to have a database because you have to talk to people. Hey, I just saw this house on a caravan. It's a good value, it's a bad value, it's this or that. Do you know anybody who might be looking to buy in this area? You have to keep multiple things going all the time. So people do door knocking. I don't know. I mean, I've never done that. But I think you need, at least five building skills or things to start to build your business, and definitely get into the AI. But AI will help, can absolutely help a new agent today understand neighborhoods, understand the differences. I think you have to get out and you've got to have information, because that's our only good, is that we have information, that we have knowledge, and that we're showing them experience, and we're telling them why this is better than that, and which AI can't do.
If you were starting over, what would you do on social? Uh, because at this point, let's assume like you don't have listings. Yeah, maybe you have an open house. You'd put up what once you have that. What type of content would you be regularly posting to try to build your brand?
Probably what I'm doing right now, which is I've changed complete directions. I would get 10 questions
Yeah.
that I think are relevant, put them
Yes.
into AI, have those and ask AI to do you short IG reels, which they can do. And then you go on social media and you have some value to share, so that people that are looking to buy or looking to sell will notice you, and then they'll start to follow you, and you start to build some authority. So that's what I would do. I wouldn't go around and like the people I see now on these listings, where they're in their, clothes, and they're trying to be hot and sexy, or movie stars. I think everybody wants to be a movie star here,
Sure.
thinking they're gonna get on a show. So they do all this, selfies. Look at me at this $30 million house, and oh, the house is beautiful, but they're in the picture. So
Right.
it's like,
Right.
so I don't think I think it's much easier today. I think it's going to be much easier today, especially if you have some authority and you're relevant. Relevance really important content, because everybody scrolls so fast and looks so fast. So you've got to have something that's meaningful, or they skip over you.
Yeah, you have to be able to identify problems
Yeah.
and answer
Offer
questions.
advice. Yeah.
Yes. And that's the currency. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe somebody looks a certain way and can get a lot of likes and views because of their genetic deep, predisposition, or the way they doll themselves up. And maybe that will attract a certain number of clients just because aesthetic stuff sometimes does. And for the rest of us, for the rest of everybody who doesn't want to go down that path or can't go down that path, you could just be really helpful to people. And at the very least, you will build a brand on social media that is, whether or not those people use you, they know that you're a helpful person. They will maybe pass people over to you.
Yeah.
So I could not agree with you more. And again, I understand in the luxury world, I understand there is a wow factor to showcasing properties, and we all want to see what a $30 million home looks like. So I get that. Yes, that is very, very cool. But at the end of the day, we want to know, what does Valerie actually offer? Why does she get those $30 million deals? And you do, and that's what you're showing in your social media. So I love this. You are such an inspiration to so many people in this industry, and I am honored once again to have you on the show. I would like everybody to check out Valerie's book, which is on Amazon. It is Heart and Sold. And she's been on HGTV selling LA. She has a TED Talk. We'll link to that as well. She has an Instagram, Valerie Fitzgerald. We just mentioned social media. And you can find her, just Google her. She's everywhere. She has two podcasts, one that just concluded and one that's starting. The new one is about women reinventing themselves and just crushing it. And I'm excited because I do a version of that here. It's all about agents who are crushing it, and almost I can't think of one person I've ever interviewed where it's like, oh, it was all handed to me. Like I'm sure that happens, but they have really never been on our show. So I love talking to people who have done it all themselves. You certainly have. And as always, on behalf of our audience, Valerie, thank you for your time. On behalf of Valerie and myself, we thank our audience too for sticking around, helping
Absolutely.
us. The best way that you can assist us in growing our show is tell a friend. Think of one other realtor that needs to hear this great story of Valerie's and send them a link. And that's the best way. Also, please support our sponsors and check out Valerie. Oh, by the way, if you have people that move in and out of the West Coast, Southern California, you should reach out to Valerie because she has people that move in and out of there too. So if you're an agent in a different area, certainly reach out if you guys have referrals or maybe just to connect. She needs to refer agents to other places too. So definitely reach out. And Valerie, thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
we will see everybody on the next episode.
Thank you so much.